What is up, everybody? My name is Jonah Cullen, and as we enter into these high school playoffs for football, we want to take a minute to look at the top 8 teams, including your Mountain Vista Golden Eagles. Cherry Creek is the number 1 team in Colorado, currently with an unbeaten record, and they're led by sophomore quarterback Brady Vodica, who averages 161.5 passing yards per game. Cherry Creek has a very high-powered offense with Vodica, but they also have a very good defense. They're led by Jack Howell, who has 10.5 sacks, and also Aiden Napke, who has 4 interceptions. And then obviously they have their star on defense, Keegan Piro, with 7 sacks on the season. Cherry Creek's best offensive weapon is sophomore wide receiver Max Lovett, who averages 58.7 receiving yards in a game. Cherry Creek has 4 D1 recruits with 3 D1 commits, and finally, they're ranked 55 nationally. Now as we move on to number 2 seeded Columbine, who are just coming off of a 35-14 win against Chatfield. Pretty big win for them as it takes them to 10-0, a perfect season for them as we go into playoffs. They had Mason Moreno and also Josh Schneider, who are both seniors. Moreno rushed for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns on only 12 carries in that game. And Snyder ran for 167 while picking up 9.3 yards per carry. Snyder's longest rush in that game was 73 yards. With the win for the Columbine Rebels, they clinched the conference title that Ralston Valley pipped them to last year. And it was an incredible comeback story for quarterback Reeve Holiday, as he missed 3 previous games after having an emergency appendectomy leading up to the league game against number 4 Ralston Valley on October 6th. When asked about the bye week, senior quarterback Reeve Holiday said in an interview, "We aren't going to take it lightly. We need to get better. We need to be a great team going into the playoffs for us to go after that state title." Now as we move on to the number 3 seeded Arapahoe High School, who are heading into the playoffs with an 8-2 record, with their only 2 losses being to the 2 teams above them, Columbine and Cherry Creek. Obviously those 2 teams are very hard to beat. Columbine and Creek both perfect on the entire season. Arapahoe's senior quarterback Michael Monahan passed for 18 touchdowns this season, and their sophomore running back Trajan Frazier rushed for 13 touchdowns. Arapahoe's offense has averaged 34 points a game, and as for their defense, they've only allowed 15.5 points per game with 11 interceptions. Taking everything into consideration, I do think Arapahoe has a very strong chance at a deep playoff run this year. When it comes to playing against someone like Creek, like Columbine, that chance for redemption could be very strong. Number 4 ranked Pine Creek Eagles are up next with a record of 9-1, winning 6 games by 10 points or more, and a forfeit being their only loss to Legend High School. And they haven't lost a game at home at all. Quarterback Cameron Cooper threw for 1,400 yards and 13 touchdowns, and rushing for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions this entire season, and a quarterback rating of 129.4. Running back Jonathan Core rushed for 1,000 yards this season, 12 touchdowns, and 147 carries. Core averages 121.9 yards per game, and don't forget about that super strong defense, giving up only 108 points and 2 shutouts this entire season. They're led by Caleb Petrie, who averages 7 tackles a game and 1 sack per game. Eagles have a really strong chance this year. Following another winning season, Ralston Valley has high hopes coming to this playoffs. The Mustangs finished with an 8-2 record, led by a high-powered offense that scored on average 28 points per game. They start off their season with a win against your Golden Eagles in a very sloppy contest, but in the next one they proceeded to drop 35 points in a loss, 35-9 versus number 1 seeded Cherry Creek. After that tough loss, there's only been a few minor bumps in the road for them as they coasted into number 5 in the playoffs. Ralston Valley, obviously, they had that super strong offense that I spoke about very briefly early on in that intro, and the leader of that offense was Logan Madden. An amazing year for him. Last year he was part of All-State First Team, and it's pretty likely he's going to get that award again. I mean, passed for 2,100 yards this season and rushed for 188. Threw for 18 touchdowns and rushed for 3. And I mean, most of that went to Jackson Hansen, who averaged 13 touchdowns and 86.9 yards a game. Brady Weldon, the halfback, led the team in the rushing column, running for 792 yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. Defense for the Mustangs only gave up on about 16.2 points per game, with Laird Jones leading the team in tackles with 10.1. They'll now face Rock Canyon in the round of 16. The Regis Jesuit Raiders finish off the season at 6-4 and 4-1 in the league. Head coach Daniel Phileman is coaching for his 8th year for the program, and their most recent game, a win against the Fountain Fort Carson Trojans. The Raiders dominated them 45-7. They've won 3 games by 28 points or more this current season, and they're ranked number 6 in the state, earning them a first-round bye. They'll play November 11th against the winner of Grandview versus Douglas County, and their players' names Case Phileman, Kai Shelton, and Albert Medina were named the Denver Post's Top 100 Colorado High School Football Players on the year. Coming in our 7th position is a team that you wouldn't really expect to be this low. It's Valor Christian High School. They started their season off 0-2, with their first loss being to Regis in the regular season, and then they went to Georgia in week 4 and played a team that was 4-0 and ended up losing by 21. Going into the playoffs this year, they are 6-4, and obviously they're in the 7. Valor's a team that is used to winning. They've won 8 state titles since 2007, and their star running back, Gabe Sawchuk, has been a key part of their offense with his 642 rushing yards. They have a very strong two-way player named Blake Kershke, who has 241 rushing yards and 106 total tackles on defense. Valor Christian made their way to the championship last year and ended up coming short by 1 touchdown to Cherry Creek. Mountain Vista's football squad has been one of Colorado's most dangerous teams this season. Super fun to watch. Austin Majeski has proven himself to be a true dual-threat quarterback, and while the defense has had to cross leaps and bounds to show adversity for this developed and talented team. Majeski averages over 300 yards per game and over 20 rushing yards per game on the ground. Majeski's wide receiver corps boasts 3 receivers with over 500 yards, 7 receivers with 100 yards or more. Jack Blaze and Grant Hansen have been great complements to the passing game, showing themselves to be very capable runners, accumulating over 900 yards rushing. Vista's defense has been a force to be reckoned with the front 7 absolutely dominating offensive lines, 20 sacks on the year and over 30 quarterback hurries. Vista's secondary has 10 interceptions on the year, and we'll be looking for more throughout the playoffs. The offense, defense, and special teams have combined for 42.5 points scored on average and only 15.6 points allowed, a point differential of plus 26.9 for the Golden Eagles.